Hello and welcome to a Mario Party Minigame Island 80% and 100% tutorial. Now I gotta start off by saying this is gonna be a very in-depth guide on how to save time on each minigame. It's very easy to get into this run in general, and a lot of the minigames are straightforward. But I will say there are some tips and tricks on how to understand some of these games so that way you can save a lot of time. To start off the run, we're gonna go to the raft right here. We're gonna select new game, and that is when the run starts. The moment you hit A here, start your timer. Now, one thing to bring up, you can definitely mash through a lot of the text here. You can select your characters here. There's not really a huge difference in characters here. I usually mash through with Mario. It seems to me that DK might have a bigger hitbox, which will help with a minigame or two, but it does take a little bit of time to get over to there. I just default to Mario every time, and usually select Luigi as well, because, you know, it's the Mario Brothers. So once you get to this part right here, be very careful. When you press A, you want to go over to no. You select no here, you're going to be skipping the rest of the text that Koopa explains to you. Big time saver right off the bat, so make sure you quickly select that, and we're going to get right away into the first minigame. Now, with how this tutorial is going to work is I'm going to explain everything that I know in terms of knowledge for the minigame, and then turn it over to the execution-wise. So with Coin Block Blitz, the goal here is to get 10 coins and end the minigame. What's interesting about this is that each block has its own timer. So for 3 of the blocks, it'll be an instant timer. The moment you hit them, they will instantly go away. There'll be another 5 blocks, I believe, that have kind of normal-ish timers, which is once you hit them, you'll activate the timer. It's not a set amount of coins in each block. It is once you hit the block, a timer will start. There's also a very long timer. So the goal here to optimize this is to run around and activate every block and make sure that you find the one, hoping that it's in your corner. Hopefully you can find the long timer very quickly and then proceed to gather your 10 coins. So it should look a little something like this. Now watch as I go ahead and play Mario here. I'm gonna go and jump around to each one like such. There is an instant timer right there. And then I'm collecting the last 10 coins here to make sure. Looks like that top right corner was the long timer. And a 48 there is not too bad. So that's the best way to optimize that, save the most time. We're going to move on to World 1-2. Also, I want to preface, if there's anything that I haven't covered in this, or if anyone has any questions, please write them in the comments down below. I would love to respond and hopefully update the video if anything new gets found out or anything like that. So please leave a comment down below. World 1-2 is Coin Block Bash. Now this one has some tech to it as well. You definitely want to at least 10 coins again. There are going to be 4 money bags, so you want to just ignore the single coins. You just want 2 money bags, and that's about it. You go ahead and press the A button to break the block up above with a vertical smash like that. You also get horizontal smashes with your B button. Now, a strategy that I like to do is I break blocks with the A button, and then once the coin or the money bag falls out in front of me, I actually collect it with the hammer by swinging horizontally. I also try to avoid hitting different computers, especially at the very end. If you smash a computer with a horizontal swing at the very end, the game will end once the last coin is collected, but you still need to wait for that computer to get back up in order for the game to officially go into the transition for the load screen and everything like that. So avoid doing that at the very end. Also try to just let a computer break whatever block they're working on. If you break a coin, or if you break a block and a coin comes out and starts traveling towards a computer, they'll get distracted and head towards that coin. So if you can kind of stay away from wherever they're working and just break the other blocks, that's the ideal way to go. One last thing is that there's some extra tech in this. You can actually break 2 blocks at once. It's much riskier because if you get multiple money bags and they go opposite directions, you have a chance of losing one of them and collecting one, and then you're down to having to get 1 out of 2. It can still save time, obviously, but it is risky. I'll show that off a little bit later, but this is the way I like to do it without hitting 2 blocks at once. And this is how this minigame should look. So right away, horizontal smash, get that. I'm gonna go this way, let Yoshi get that one. Grab that. I'm actually gonna grab this so Wario is not distracted. He finishes that one, and then I'll go ahead and grab this. Not necessarily the fastest one, but you have the general idea of how this minigame works. World 1-3, Coin Shower Flower. Now this is a minigame where you want to get 20 coins, and then afterwards you jump off the flower right away. You don't want to wait for the minigame to end on the time, because that's slow. One thing to note is that coin will have a set spawn time from the moment that you grab them. So if you can jump up while the coins are falling down, the earlier you grab those coins by jumping up like that, the better, because then you can spawn the next set of coins and you do the same thing instead of waiting for them to just jump down. Once you grab all those, you definitely want to just run off the edge. I like to try to take a jump off the edge, because sometimes when you just walk right off, it does like a little mini hop for you, and that's a little bit slower. So if you can do a big hop from wherever you are off to the edge, great. And then if you get caught and do the little mini hop, it's not the worst thing, but you want to try to avoid that. So this mini game should look like this.
Start. Finish.
That one isn't too bad there. You could have gotten some extra hops in, but you get the general idea. Practice jumping around there, getting the hops that you need to spawn the coins faster. World 1-4 is known as a palm killer, but I'm going to let you know right now, you don't need to spam your spin as fast as you think. It is a little bit of RNG on how fast and how hard the other three want to go ahead and rotate against you. But for the most part, you shouldn't have problems with this. Ideally, you want to get hit 5 times. It's going to be laggy kind of throughout. I have a few spots where I typically like to get hit. I don't know if it's much faster on where you get hit. But you really don't need to rotate very fast. You can go nice and slow. And once you get your 5 hits, you definitely want to just stay in the center of the river here. As you can see, they just kind of took over there. But that is okay. Sometimes that'll happen, so it's always better to be on the right side if possible. I want to get on the right side of this rock. So we'll need another 3 hits. Now, if you want to play it safer, you could go with... Oh, that was a nice double hit there. You could go with an additional 6th hit, but ideally what happens is you get your 5th hit right around this point. You have 15 coins, and then you want to stay centered so that way you can avoid getting hit and wasting more time with that. Obviously, there's an additional hit there, but you get the main point and idea. Sometimes they just overpower you, but it's usually just for a hit, maybe 2. You should be fine. World 2-1 is Memory Match. Now, I believe some people have tried to map out all of the patterns that show up, but I think it's just way too much to remember. You got to get lucky here. This is one of the mini games that involves a lot of RNG. There's quite a few, actually, in this run. Just kind of have to get lucky here. I like to try to go in the first 2x2 area and hit just the corners, so that way I don't have to travel as far. You want to avoid the Bowser space if you can, obviously, because you save a ton of time. There's not much advice for this one that I can give, other than try to do short ground pounds like you're about to see and hit the corners, so that way you can just go right to the next one. So you see if I go here... That's a great match there. Great start for the RNG, that's for sure. Okay, that's not too bad. But see how I cut my travel time down by not going all the way onto the square? I just go and hit the corner. Unfortunately, got a Bowser there. That's going to happen a lot when you do these runs. And we'll go from left to the top. But the quicker you can get in that ground pound there, like a little short hop there, obviously the faster you can go with this mini game. Just try to practice that. Aside from that, try to get some good luck. I don't really know how to help out on that. World 2-2 is Ground Pound, another game that has some RNG to it. It's not the worst as far as some other games we see in this run. Ideally, well, first off, the minigame goes you have to ground pound 5 poles that don't have spikes. Ideally, those 5 are going to be in a line for you in some way. They could be ideally in the first 2 or the middle 2 columns. That would be great RNG, but you won't get that often. The other thing I can stress is try to get that short ground pound I talked about in 2-1. Try to get that in this as well, because the game actually ends slightly faster if you can do that quick hop ground pound, that short hop ground pound, on the final pole. And you don't have to be on top of the pole. You could be right next to it. So this game looks like this. Not the best RNG, but we'll go ahead and work with it just so you can see the ideal way to move around and do the ground pound. See how you don't have to go right on top of the pole. You just go right next to it. I missed. Don't do that. We'll see if we get the short. Didn't quite get it. It was slight, a little bit of time lost there, but it's a very easy game. You just gotta hope that the RNG lines up in your favor to save as much time as possible and work on that short hop ground pound. Now, Limbo Dance is your first variance in RNG you can see with routes for the most part. Limbo Dance has two different setups, and how the game works is you tap A to move the Mario. You want the Mario to be not on the ground like that. And you work through an obstacle course of limbo bars. So don't mash A too fast, otherwise you'll fall over. You can tell. You'll see when I do it, I try to keep Mario at a constant, almost falling state. It's kind of the fastest way to go about it. But there are two set patterns in here that you're looking for. The first one, the slower one, is if you see a limbo bar on your screen. When the game starts and you see a limbo bar right on the right side of your screen, you're going to be looking for. That is the slower path. Congratulations, you just lost 7.5 seconds around there, and there's nothing you can do about it. So good job. The other thing is if you start the game and there's no limbo bar, congratulations, you just saved about 7.5 seconds over the other set of RNG for the path there. So RNG and whether or not you save time, and then up to you on how fast you press A. Hopefully you press it fast enough to save time. This game, I'll show off how both look. It'll go like this. So at the start of this one, you see a limbo bar, that means slow path. So I try to keep Mario in that constant, almost slipping state. But you'll notice the timer at the top. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and show off the other pattern as well after this. It gets a little laggy here if you're on console, be careful. You gotta adjust your A button press for that. So about an 8, right, is what you see. Now we're gonna go ahead and show off the faster path. Now, if you look to the right side of the bars here, or of the screen, you'll see there's no limbo bar. This is the faster one. Now, if you recall on the last one, we had about 8 seconds left on the timer. You're gonna notice that there's not a lot of lag, which is huge for if you play this on console. Keep that in mind. Now, notice the timer. It's gonna be about a 15 to a 14, depending on how fast you do that. It's a big time save. Definitely try to practice the timing of the jumps and hope for good RNG. Now, Musical Mushroom is another minigame that is RNG on when the timing starts and stops, I guess. For the music that plays, the goal is to jump onto the orange mushroom and grab the chest. Now, you'll notice there's some blue mushrooms that are around the orange mushroom. Just don't block those from your mind, okay? You're definitely going to want to just jump straight onto the orange mushroom. So the game will look like this. It's very straightforward, very easy. Just hold the control stick in whatever direction of the chest, and then be ready to run right past the blue mushroom and jump right up for the chest, okay? It's completely RNG based on when the music stops. That was pretty solid, and it looks just like that. You jump right on, right into the chest, boom, you're done. World 2-5. This one sucks. I'll show it off. But you don't have to mash A incredibly much. You can even get hit like this and still go. You can just keep doing that if you wanted. I jump over the rocks, obviously. You can jump for the vines and jump over the vines, which is pretty cool. It's pretty neato. But you can get hit by pretty much every stump and still make it. Now, I don't think that the vines actually save anything. It's basically an auto-scroller. Just be a little careful. It's very lenient. As long as you jump over the rocks, you could still get hit by the trees and make it through just fine, as you can see. But the cool party trick is definitely grabbing the vine like that. So a lot of people don't realize you can do that. Aside from that, there's not really much going on. So Congratulations, you just finished World 2, and we're moving on to World 3, which has our first kind of brutal reset points. Okay, World 3-1 is Crazy Cutter. There are 3 different patterns. You need to trace out and get at least 80 points on your cutter pattern, whatever. There are 3 different patterns, like I mentioned. There is the Goomba, which is the slowest, the Boo, which is slightly faster, and the Bob-omb, which is way faster. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter unless you're slow, how fast you finish, because everybody needs to finish. Depends on how fast the computers finish. So ideally, you get the smallest amount of surface area to trace. That is the Bob-omb. I'll go ahead and show off all 3 of the RNGs coming up here, and you can kind of time it for yourself. All right, World 3-2. I gotta say, this one sucks. This is your first huge reset point if you're working on a really good time. Obviously, there's a lot of RNG that plays into this whole run, and it's a very fun, easy run to get into. But when you start really grinding for fast times and good RNG, this is your first big killer. Buried treasure, you just have to mash A and find the treasure chest. Simple as that. The problem is that the treasure chest can spawn literally anywhere, pretty much, on this whole board. It could be right in front of your opponent, you have no shot. It could be between the 2 opponents on your right side, you have no shot. It could be right in front of you, and you might still have no shot. But I have a couple of spots that I check right away. It's usually like almost like a zigzag pattern because there could be 2 quick spawns right in front of you. And then after that, it's about finding science. You just have to be lucky during this. So if you watch where I go, this is where I like to check. I check right here, and then I check right here. And then if I don't see anything, then I look for the signs. We have a sign over there. It's pointing up towards this. And there's the chest. So there's 2 spots right there that can spawn, one on the right and one straight down from where you spawn. It's up to you on how you want to route the way you do it. I just like doing the zigzag just in case, because you always take that chance if it's right in front of you. And if it's right in front of an opponent, there's no way you're reaching it anyway, so might as well just check. Very tough minigame that can just screw you over. But if you can get through it, then you've got some somewhat smooth sailing. World 3-3 is Desert Dash. You just hold right and then left. Now, one thing to mention though, I personally think, because there is lag. If you're playing on emulator, you're not going to be experiencing a lot of lag, so that's something you don't have to worry about. But if you're playing on console, I do believe that there's a lot of lag that happens as you get closer to the swamp. And I believe if the computer gets smushed, then it saves some lag frames. I'm not too sure though. But as you can see, you just never stop, and you'll never get squished by that. As long as you have a good pattern and you're not rushing it too much, you will always be able to just smoothly go right through. It's a free, easy game. You might want to hope that the computer gets smushed, but you just take what you can. Congratulations, you're moving on to the next minigame. Tug-O-War. Now, this has been known as the one to drill holes into your hand. Now, I'm going to show off really quick. I'm playing on console, but I do use a Hori mini pad. This is my Hori mini pad. It has a GameCube control stick, so it doesn't actually tear right through my hand, causing me to go to the hospital. I don't have a Nintendo Power Glove either, so unfortunate. The goal here is to pull off the other team into the Piranha plant. You can get this game done in about 3 seconds if you're fast enough. I cannot stress this enough though. Please, 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 when you do this and pedal power later on, make sure your rotations of your control stick are in complete 360s. What I mean by that is if you see this, you see my control stick, it's gonna go up here and then around, fully hitting every notch, okay? If you go really fast and all of a sudden you go from here and then you go across, like, it's not a good way to do it. You you go like across from like top down to the bottom like that, and you're not hitting that other notch, it's not gonna work as well, and they're gonna fight back, and you're gonna have to rotate longer. So just focus. You try to go as fast as you can, but in a controlled manner to where you're hitting every notch on your controller. And if you don't have notches, just make sure you're hitting the outside wall. Cannot stress that enough. You can get a 27 with this, and it kind of looks like this. That might have looked very inappropriate, but yeah, trust me. You can do this easily. You just make sure that you hit the outside wall. As long as you do that and you don't hear the clicking, you hear the rotation, you're doing great. Okay, the final minigame of World 3 is Teetering Towers. Teetering Towers is a scary minigame for some. They can fall off and jump. You just have to jump across. A couple of interesting things to point out. The first and last jumps, you can just walk off. You don't have to jump, and the game ends when your feet hits the floor, so ideally you just want to walk off and land right on the grass. You can optimize this game, though, and I'm going to tell you what I do and then show it off. So what I do is I center myself on a tower, and once the camera has caught up to Mario and has locked in on Mario, is no longer moving, I start moving from the center of the tower to the tower I want to jump to. By the time I hit the edge of the tower, it should start tilting forward. You'll be able to jump and make it to the next tower just barely the moment the tower starts actually falling, okay? So you want to make sure the tower is falling to be able to get that extra distance. And you can time it, because once you hit that next tower, stand in the center of it, the camera will pan to Mario. The moment it locks into place, start running at an angle towards the next tower. By the time you hit the edge, it should start to fall, and you'll be able to jump to the next one. It's very tricky timing, but you can save multiple seconds by doing this. And it kind of looks like this. Notice how I'm going to just drop off here. On this one right here. Just hold forward. Center, locked in place. Center, lock in place. Center, lock in place. Avoid grabbing coins if possible. I can't because this route didn't let me. And then just... that one you want to be a little careful. You see I was a little scared there at the end. But if you practice that movement specifically, you'll be able to save multiple seconds, which is huge when grinding for world record. And, you know, world record has a lot of RNG. This whole run does. So any sort of time save, that's what you're looking for. Theoretically, and I think it's been proven as a possibility, you could go the route of 5-1. World 5 would skip Worlds 3 and 4, and it theoretically could be faster, but it involves a lot, and I mean a lot of RNG going perfectly for your way on every minigame, that it's just not worth it. And the time save would be very minuscule compared. So most 80% runs go World 3, World 4. You could do the World 5 route and defy what everyone says. Go for it if you want to. I would recommend for any percent, we're gonna go World 3, 4, 6. I will come back to explain how World 5 kind of works for the 100% runs, but World 5 sucks. There's a reason why we leave it. World 4 is interesting because we have two really free games and then two, well, I should say, it kind of has two scary games to deal with. But we're going to deal with the easiest ones first in World 4, which is very nice. World 4 has a lot of racing co-op-y thingies and things like that. Bobsled Run's very straightforward. You just want to hold, or mash A, I should say, not hold. Mash A at the start. And then hold directly forward. And try to just win. If you can cut them off like that, that's great. There's not much to this game in terms of really optimizing it. You obviously want to stay away from grinding against walls, and you want to hit every boost. So there is, you know, a decent bit of tech but it is, I don't know, it's very tough to save time on this minigame once you've done this plenty of times. Aside from that, you just want to finish and kind of get mentally prepared for the rest of the run. This is a good little like break kind of minigame, unless you really screw up by grinding on the walls or anything. If you also fall off, that is not good. Obviously you lose, and a loss is not good. And this section right here is a little tough. I hold directly right that whole time I'm being boosted until I get straight forward on that. I typically get my runs around 59 seconds. I'm sure there's ways to cut it down even more, and especially if you have a second player, but obviously for Minigame Island, this will do. It's fine. So Skateboard Scamper is another interesting one, and I'm going to talk about it as we go through it itself. You don't have to mash B insanely fast until the very end, okay? I'm just going to go ahead, if you look, just like this. I'm not worried at all about what my placement is. Just like that. That's about the rate that I mash. Where you want to start mashing is when the camera starts panning around to the back side of the contestants. That's when it matters for you mashing. Don't grab the coins because it wastes time. But it should be coming up here shortly. That's when you mash. And it's very important to mash as hard as you can right here. Mash as hard as you can. This is the only part that matters for mashing. Just go ham.
Finish.
And there you go. That is the only section that matters because for some reason, everybody just gets bunched up in a line, and it's very easy to lose if you're not mashing very hard. So save it for when the camera starts to pan. That's about it. This minigame is tough. There's a bunch of different factors that go into this minigame. For example, you can lose even when holding the correct direction. Now, I personally never break during this, but it does depend on if your computer partner, whoever it is also willing to turn with you. I'm a firm believer in that. Because there are some times where I hold directly left and we still fall off because the computer is not also holding that same direction. Now, this game, this is only for console here, this game is incredibly laggy, okay? So if you're on MU, don't have to worry about what I'm about to say. If you're on console, pay attention. You will lose time on this minigame. It's just gonna happen. Unless the computer falls off. Now, the computer can fall off in a few different parts of the map. If the computer falls off, it's a blessing because it's rare for it to happen, and if it does, you go zooming through. You can save like 10 seconds. It's ridiculous. There's one specific turn that I hold directly left for, like for a while. I even like let go of the A button. I don't brake, but I let go of the A button a little bit, and it's coming up. I'll go ahead and call it out when it happens. But you can just see how laggy this is. Maybe the computers will fall off here. If not, I can show it later on. This turn coming up right here. This is the death turn. This is what I call the death turn. You hold directly left here. You can fall off very easily if the computers don't do it. I just let go. I ease up on the A button there. And it looks like they didn't fall off. That's one of their first places that they could fall off at. They can still fall off at other areas, but unfortunately, it looks like we're going to see the very slideshowy, laggy version of this. The rest of these turns are pretty safe for the most part. And there's no other real tech. You just kind of have to hope that the computers fall off. We'll see if we can get them to fall off and you can see the difference, the comparison, if you will.
Ready? Go!
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So now you can see how fast this really goes without any lag. This is how you save time. Look at how much faster this goes. It is ridiculous. Now on the timer, it won't look like it's much faster, but it's just all in lag. And you'll save so much time on your own timer. So hopefully you can get a fall off like that. For me, it took about 5 attempts for that to happen. So hopefully for you, it takes to your first try. Now, the final minigame of World 4 is Ghost Guess. And Ghost Guess is, it could be a little tricky. It's the first ghost that moves. So you wanna, I kind of look at Mario directly and use my peripherals to look at the ghosts. And whatever Boo moves first, it most of the time it's easy to tell which one moves first, but sometimes there's a couple of patterns that like a couple move almost simultaneously, and you might have to wait a second or third cycle. Take your time with this minigame. Make sure you don't screw it up, because if you do, it's a time loss. You got to restart the minigame. If you have to wait an extra cycle or two, go for it. Otherwise, it should look something like this.
Start.
Right away was able to see it. You just run right into him. That's the most optimal way to do it, but again, there's a few patterns that are a little shaky, so just be careful, take your time. From here, we're gonna go ahead and go on up the ladder, and now you'll see another pathway. This is blocked off, and you can't go to the left side because we skipped World 5, so we're gonna go straight to here, and this will be World 6. Starting off with, there's actually a few different minigames here that are a little scary before we hit the gauntlet in World 7, but we'll start with World 6-1, which is Box Mountain Mayhem. This one is a big run killer as well. A lot of runs died to this. You need 10 coins or more to win the game. It's RNG on where the coins are. Some boxes don't have any coins. Some knock you backwards. Some do both. Keep a running count in your head. If you see a money bag, I would recommend, if no one's around it, darting for it right away, because that's 5 coins right away. There's only a few money bags. There's a box that drops multiple money bags, so you definitely want that one, but try to stay out of computer's way, because you can get punched and it just wastes time.
Start.
We got some money bags there, which is perfect. Another money bag to secure the win. The game does not end until all coins are collected. You can utilize a jump kick, but I think you're just wasting time if you do that. Just kind of mash hope, and know that only money bags will be in boxes that are knocked backwards. So you won't just break a random box and there'll be a money bag. It will have to pick you up and block, or like run you back all the way to the front of the level, I guess, or by the screen. So be aware whenever a computer breaks a box, and if it goes flying backwards, you might want to run towards it. Now, pedal power is Tug-O-War, but to the extreme. The same rules apply here. You want to go ahead and do the full rotations on the control stick. As long as you do that at a moderate speed, you'll be fine. The faster you go, obviously, the better you'll do time-wise, but make sure you're doing full control stick spins, okay? Look a little something like this.
Start.
All right, there's my shirt. You see the shirt. But you wanna, that's just me showing off kind of how I like to spin in general with palm of the hand. I usually place it right in between the two nubs here and just use that to go around in a circle. That one takes a little practice to get good at, but you can do it. Okay, World 6-3 is Tipsy Tourney. This is a very fun one to practice. There's a specific route that I personally go for. You can kind of tweak it however you want. But basically, you're going to watch me go to the bottom right corner, paint that corner, and then go to the bottom left, top right, and then do a small inner circle to wrap it up. Take some practice, but after you do it a few times, you'll definitely get the hang of it. You want to be moving towards the corner before the shell hits the previous corner you were at. So you go from bottom left, you'll start transitioning to top left, probably a square to about the square before it hits that corner, the shell hits that corner that you were just at. Practice this. This is a fun one to just get down, and it should look a little something like this.
Start. Finish.
You can optimize it, cut it a little closer on the inner circle there, but for the most part, that's the route you want to use. You can tweak it if you want, but that's what I do for that minigame. Works most of the time. All right, World 6-4 is Hot Bob-omb. This one has a lot of RNG on it. A lot of runners like to just throw the bomb right away and just pray to RNGesus. I listen for a specific audio cue with my bomb. So every time you'll start with the bomb, you hold the direction on your control stick, press the A button to throw the bomb, and then if it doesn't blow up right away, I mash A, so that way if it comes back to me, it goes right to somebody else afterwards, hopefully. But I listen for a specific audio cue, so definitely listen for this sound and then throw it, because it can start blowing up after this audio cue as far as I know. So definitely listen for this sound specifically, okay? Listen to the sound of the Bob-omb.
Start.
So that sound there is the sound you're looking for. Once you hear it go off once, you want to throw it close to when the second time it goes off is. And then it could blow up on that second one. But I mean, it's RNG as well. That's just mitigating as much as possible. Good luck. And we're moving on to the next one. World 6-5 is Bombsketball. This is a very fun one. The strategy that I use is I run forward a little bit and I jump towards the upright from wherever I'm standing. And I use either my teammate or the enemy who is defending me as a boost towards the basket. And then I do a jump shot. It should look something like this. So I didn't actually even get the boost there, but that's the ideal situation that you want to go for. You jump towards the upright. Most of the time you do get a boost and you can shoot right away. But for that one, if you have the free space, then you just land and do a jump shot. Now you can shoot the ball after landing on an opponent, but ideally you just take a jump shot from right there, right around there. World 6-6 is hot rope jump. I'm not even going to go over it. All right, fine. You want to see it? We're going to show it off, and it's going to be in super fast speed. So here you go. Enjoy.
Start.
There. You happy? All right, now it's time for World 7. I personally believe that World 7 is one of the hardest worlds in general. World 5 is obviously very hard, but for more RNG reasons. This has a lot of skill-based stuff, with some RNG obviously involved. But I call this section of the run the Gauntlet. World 7-1 through 7-4 is the Gauntlet, the biggest place for runs to die. It's 4 back-to-back to back-to-back difficult mini games, and we're gonna get into it with World 7-1. Now, the slot machine might not be as difficult. It's just difficult to do fast, I would say. You have to get used to seeing the pattern that is given to you in the mini game and selecting the right slot order, I guess. 3 of any of the same marks will go ahead and give you a win. Ideally, you get the 1 coin here, because that gives you 1 coin and then you're done, right? On top of that, it ends the game a lot quicker, because if you get the Mario cap, you get a ton of coins. You have to collect all the coins before the game ends. That's just how it works. So if you get the single coin, it's actually really nice, because you get the 1 coin, it's over. Also, try to collect the coin closest to the center spotlight as possible, whatever you end up getting. Because if you end up collecting the final coin all the way out to the right or to the left, you have to wait for your character, whoever you're playing, to return to the spotlight. So, things to keep in mind during this. You want to try to get the single coin if possible. Not the end of the world if you don't. It is the fastest way to go. And then you want to try to get the coins as closest to the spotlight as possible to finish the game. One other thing is, if you're struggling with this, you can pause buffer. So you can constantly pause the game and unpause the game to see what's coming. And the slots are a little bit lenient too. If you're close enough, it'll kind of give it to you. But here's how this one's going to kind of look. So kind of look and see what your reels look like at this point. We're going to go with the Koopa shell here. See how lenient it is?
Finish.
That's how you can do it. That works fine. Obviously, you want to try to get the 1 coin. The Koopa shell is just fine. As long as you don't get the Mario hat or like the fire flower, that's what you want to avoid. This is what it looks like if you pause buffer, though. If you notice, on the left side, it's always hat and then coin. On the right side, it's always chest and then coin. And if you look at the center one, it's always Koopa shell and coin. So basically, you're going to be spamming pause until you get to a state like this. Now, in this state, you're going to see the hat, right? The coin is not yet on screen, but you want the hat to be at the top. That's when you unpause and mash A. and you'll get the coin every time, just like that. Now you just go ahead and keep pause buffering. If you're uncomfortable, you're gonna be waiting for the green shell to line up like that, and then you unpause and mash A. And then if you look on the right side, you see how the chest is right there? Mash A. Get your 1 coin, return back to center.
Finish.
And then, boom. There you go, you got your 1 coin. You did a pause buffering slightly slower, but that's just to get you through it if you're just starting out, okay? Practice doing it without the pause buffering. Know that the reels are always going to be lined up in the same way. They might not start at the same point, but they'll always be lined up that same order. World 7-2 is Crane Game, and this one can be challenging. There's a very, very, very important thing that people don't realize about this game, though. Mashing the A button is good and all, but it really comes down to your grip on a character. The goal of the game is to grab the character or any one of the characters and put them in the pipe. I highly do not recommend grabbing characters that are sitting straight up. I highly recommend grabbing characters that are laying down. I feel like characters that are sitting up, it's harder to get a center grab on somebody. And you'll see what I mean by a center grab. If you grab on the outsides of the character, it's much easier for them to wiggle out. But if you center grab them, like such, you're gonna see right here, it's all RNG on where they get placed, right? But we'll go for Wario and his fat ass, okay? So here's his big old booty. We wanna make sure, see how I'm centered, for the most part, on him? That's a good grab right there. And you don't even have to mash hard. See, look at this. You can just go like that, and they will not break out, no matter what. Okay, so grab the center on somebody who's laying down, ideally closest to the pipe. If anybody's sitting straight up, I would recommend probably avoiding them. You can try to mess around with it and see if you can get the center grab on just like a head, but it's tough. World 7-3 is one of the hardest mini games to get down. This one, there's not much I can tell you other than you just kind of have to get good at the mini game. And I know there's the meme, oh yeah, get good, but this one actually just takes a lot of practice. What I like to do, some people cross their eyes, some people do other things, find what works for you. For me personally, I stare in between the middle pipes and I use my peripherals to guide from my pipe up. Sometimes it gets way too complex that even I still miss out, but practice, practice, practice. I'll show you what it looks like, but it's gonna be different every time. I just stare right at the center and look at my pipe. Looks like it's gonna be pipe number 1. Obviously, that's gonna be, there's RNG in this as well in terms of how fast it goes. If you get pipe selection number 1, that's great, because you don't have to move over. Also, the least amount of transitions is also great. The goal is obviously to get the treasure chest there. This one really just comes down to practicing a ton. And hoping that you can follow along. You'll get it in time, trust me. It'll be frustrating at first, but just practice, practice, practice. So for World 7-4, it's the final minigame of what I like to call the gauntlet. This is bowl over. You want to knock down all 3 of the character pins. It doesn't really matter about the other pins at all. Most of the time, I mash the A button to start because it's the fastest to get the ball just rolling, the shell just spinning, I guess. But you should really look at the pattern they're in. If they're bunched up or close at all, I would just honestly mash and hope that you can get them all knocked out. You can obviously adjust the shell by going left and right after you throw. Now, if they are lined up on the 2 back corner pins and the top head pin, I would wait for them to bunch, because that one's impossible unless they all bunch up. And it's all RNG on where they go to. This one will look like this. Not always, though. Okay, so this layout here is pretty solid. Not the best, but it is really good. This obviously would be an insta-throw in any of my runs. And then you just kind of guide the shell accordingly. Got them all there, that's great. The only time, again, that I don't insta-throw is if there's the 2 corners, I guess the 7 and the 10, if you know bowling, and the head pin, which is the frontmost one. You get that kind of layout, or something similar to that, it might be best to just wait for them to bunch up on their own. Otherwise, you could take the risk and hope that they bunch up before the ball gets there. So, 7-5, you've made it to a point in the run where you get a couple of little breaks. This one's not so much of a break. You should definitely be able to win the minigame, but Whack-A Plan is an interesting one. I don't know about time saves for emulator and things like that, but as for console, I personally feel like The faster you knock down the plants, the next round will load in faster. So you kind of want to get them all. And also, there'll be a lot of lag on screen with more Piranha plants. So the quicker you can just eliminate them, the better. Now, you do have to deal with getting extra coins that way, but I personally just feel like it's faster regardless. And then, finally, when you get towards the start of a new round, you want to start your jump as the spotlights start to show, because then you'll see where they are and you can plan your jump accordingly. It should look something like this. You can actually get more distance if you press A at the right time after landing on a piranha plant. That corner to corner was a bit unlucky, but it is what it is. And you see how I start jumping a little early there. I'm going to be doing it again here. Oh, that was a little weird. And then you want to end in the center, obviously. But I personally believe that that's faster in general than just letting them sit, because then you have a ton of lag to deal with as well. Now, an emulator might be a little different. Might want to just stick to not getting those extras, but yeah. Mario Bandstand. This one's very simple and easy. You just hold the push the control stick into whatever direction for your instructions. Yours is on the top left. You need to outperform each one of the computer players, and they always mess up usually, for the most part. Sometimes they don't. But it's a very straightforward. Looks like nobody messed up, so that's a little pressure. Oh God. Oh, there it goes. I think there is somebody who's still perfect as well. But ideally, as long as you get the spotlight, you win. You should not have any problems with that. That's a nice little like breather for and getting you like prepared for the next minigame coming up, which has a really cool strat. I'm very excited to show you all. Let's get into it. So World 8-1 is running of the bulb. The goal is to get the light bulb from one end to the other end. But there's a really cool strat we use here to help reduce any bit of lag and also any risk of actually losing. 4 boos will spawn. They'll be all inside, or is it 3 boos? I forget. It's 3 or 4. But they all be inside of each other to a certain point. Now you can keep them all inside of each other by killing off your whole entire team. And what that's going to look like, I'm going to hold, if you have notches on your controller, I'm going to hold directly up left to start the match, okay? Up left will get me into the wall. I want them all to line up against the wall in single file line. Once they're in that, I hold between up left and directly left on my control stick. You can't really see it from here, but basically, it kind of looks like up left and then into between up left and direct left. And that will, if you hold that, it will push them into the big boo, killing them all off. You're going to see how it looks. It's really cool. Once again, shout out to Silo Simon for finding this one out. I believe Silo Simon was the one that found this. If not, I'm sorry, but I believe so. So up, and then up left, get them into the line. Then it's between left and up left there. And then boom, it's done. So a quick little correction. It is up first. That's my fault. You want to go up first for sure to get to that wall, and then you start holding up left until they're in single file, and then between up left and direct left, and that will kill them all off. Now you'll notice it looks like there's only one boo. Trust me, there are multiple boos underneath there, because if you get touched by one of them, then you just kind of, you'll see more boos underneath. That was a little close. But I mean, ideally, now you just got to deal with this, and you run up to the end here like this, and it's all over. It's very, very nice, reduces a little bit of lag, and it makes it much easier, faster overall. Highly recommend that. Highly recommend learning that. Remember, one more time. Directly up for a little bit, then up left, and then between up left and direct left. Okay, so World 8-2 is grab bag. You just need to grab 15 coins and survive. Well, end the game with 15 coins. You can go for little stun locks where you grab an opponent, steal their stuff, and then instantly grab them again. But the cool tech I want to show off, it's more like a funny thing to show off here. See how I'm doing stun locks basically right here. I definitely messed that up. But, again, ideally... Oh, okay. Everyone's stealing money. once I get to 15 coins, I'm gonna do something specific here. Okay, so 19 is pretty good. Now, hopefully, they do something really funny here. Their AI makes them just run in circles. Looks like they are gonna grab. You can just kind of jump on them if you want, but if you run to a corner after you're done, you can get something like this where they get locked. Now, Peach might grab one of them because she's on a different path. Sometimes they're in a perfect circle where they just rotate around each other the whole time. Otherwise, you can wait like this in a corner and just watch them be very, very fun and goofy, I guess. I don't know. It's very silly.
Finish.
But yeah, that's the goal. Makes it a lot less risky. Just be on your toes. Very straightforward game. World 8-3 is keep away. This one's deceptively hard. Sometimes they'll just cut you off and you lose. It has happened on some good paced runs before. I just hold forward and then jump over anybody like that. That's the most optimal way you're gonna be able to do it. You should be able to do it with the 26. I missed the jump there, but just holding directly forward and jumping over. Sometimes they cut you off and get in your way and they'll double team you and you lose the minigame. So just be aware of that, but that one's a straightforward, literally a straightforward game for the most part. Sometimes you have to dip out a little bit. Just be aware. So 8-4 is Balloon Burst. This one, you definitely want to get into a rhythm. You want to make sure that your pump is flashing to get the most air. And you want to do it in a timely manner, but you don't want to go too fast. Because if you go too fast like this, you're not getting any air in. So you want to make sure you're doing full pumps the whole time. You can get a good time. You want to aim for at least a 10. I think you can get up to like a 13. But see, it's not about going super insanely fast. It's about getting the max air pumps. You can see that I am very much in the lead, and I'm not mashing at all. You get into a good rhythm with it. So that was a 12 there. I do believe you can get a 13, but the rhythm that I like to do, if you listen carefully, it's just kind of press, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, just like that. You can optimize it a little bit more, but you take a 12 in a run, you can get 13, you're pretty happy. World 8-5 is Facelift. Facelift is a very fun one in this game. Mario Party Superstars, it's way harder. This one you need at least 90 points. What is very interesting about this, though, is I think in most, if not all cases, whatever axis that it's being pulled for the face, you pretty much max it out for the most part. I think there's like a face that you don't do that for, but whatever's being moved is going to be a max pull pretty much. So if you see this, for example, you want to grab the right cheek and do max down right. Max down right. This one, max down left. This one, straight down, max. Make sure this is like that. This one, straight up and in, I believe. And this, I don't know if this will be 100, but you just want to pull. It will definitely get you at least the win. But whatever it is, you just do the max you can in whatever direction for the most part. Like I said, I think there's one face that you don't. That gets you a 93. That's a win right there. And I believe the eyebrows are probably off on that, but that is a safe way to guarantee at least a 90 and a winning score, aside from, I believe, one other face. Fashion Cash is the final level of World 8. This one, it's really funny. It says, as long as you have at least one coin left. Well, you can't lose single coins. You lose coins in increments of 5. You start with 20. So if you really want to optimize this so that way you don't have to count up as many coins at the end of the run, or at the end of the game, you want to end the game with 5 coins, which is risky, because you can also take a hit while the timer's at 0 and the game's over. If someone's mid-swing, it'll count, and you'll lose that money. So you want to be a little careful. I usually end up ending with 10 because of that. If you run in a circle, you're totally fine. And I typically will start getting hit right about now in the final 5. And then I'll get hit one more time. See how it hits 0 there. Get to 5 coins. That's as optimal as you're going to get it. Otherwise, it's just basically an auto scroller. So with that all being said, you just finished World 8. You're on to the home stretch of the run. Hang in there. You got this. Now we have the best music, in my opinion, for Minigame Island. It's so chill. It's so nice. If you notice now, this pathway to go back is now open. We won't ever take that, obviously. We'll be going straight to World 9-1. The home stretch is fairly not tough. I think the scariest things are 9-1 strictly because of RNG, and then Knock Block Tower because of a little bit of RNG and a little bit of nerves because it's the very end of the run. You can screw it up and quickly, you know, one wrong input, you're done. So World 9-1 we're going to get into right now. It's the Hammer Drop. Hammer Drop minigame is strictly all RNG. You're praying for 10 money, or not 10 money bags, 10 coins. But ideally, you're just waiting on 2 money bags to drop. If you get 2 money bags to drop, you collect the coins and jump off. You can collect individual coins if you want. I typically just wait for the 2 money bags and try to jump towards them. So again, this one's strictly RNG. You're going to be hoping for 2 money bags. You can grab the individual coins if you desire. I usually don't jump for them because it can be a little finicky if you jump on top of someone's head. I'll just step underneath them, try to get 5 this way. Looks like we're only getting coins at the moment. I should have 3 coins now. This will be number 4. Man, this is really tough RNG right now. We haven't gotten a single money bag. Not a single money bag. That's 7 coins. There's a money bag finally. So I grab that and then hop right off once you get your 10. So that was an extremely unlucky hammer drop there, and that can cost you a ton of time. But like I said, I don't like going for the individual coins. Usually you get a lot of money bags at some point. But there is a chance where you don't get a bunch like that, and it's a little tough. Depends on how you want to play it, personally. As you can see, that was a really slow one. But you definitely want to fall off right away, and you want to try to... Again, I don't like to jump for the money bags only, or for the single coins, only because if a money bag spawns after, you could be in a bad spot. So, World 9-2 is Slot Car Derby. This is one where you go ahead and race by using the control stick in whatever direction. Doesn't matter what direction at all. You could just kind of hold it in a direction. This one just takes practice to get good at. If you start spinning out, ease up. I'll kind of try to exaggerate like this so you can see.
Ready? Go!
And you can kind of just see that, like, on the outside one, I'm kind of holding it the entire time like this. And then towards the very end, obviously, you just want to make sure you win. That one was a pretty slow one in general. It was a little awkward to hold it like this. But you can see I hold pretty much back to neutral whenever I feel like I'm about to spin out. It just takes a little bit of practice. But you'll get that one down, and that one's actually the harder one compared to the end game one, surprisingly. And I'll tell you why once we get there. Now, shell game is very straightforward. You just watch with your eyes where it goes. So you went to the shell, and it's in there now. I still, again, this is one where I like to look at Mario, and then I follow with my peripherals at that point. Now, there is RNG on how much it shuffles, and that'll be your time save, depending on what shuffles it does. But as long as you follow it, have it the right one, that one's typically free. As long as you're paying attention, you focus. Hopefully the RNG shuffles it less for you, but we're moving on. Knock Block Tower is one that is interesting. It's RNG depending on how many crates are there. If you hit a thwomp, then you get flung off and you lose immediately. There is some tech where you can jump up onto the chest without getting, I think when you grab the chest, you get like bonked back down to the tower. There is a way, if you land correctly, that you can land next to the chest and stay on top, and it's faster that way. But for the most part, you just want to analyze the tower. This is when nerves are kicking in because it's the end of the run. Just be calm. Short hops are huge here. Short hop, and then right to it like that. So there's a way to land on top of the thwomp. But again, for those ones where it's like one above, it's just A-B, A-B, A-B. Just like that to jump and bonk, okay? So A-B, 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 just like that. It's kind of like rolling your thumb on that. Once you get past that, you got one more minigame before we head to the finale. Now 9-5 is Platform Peril. It's the final minigame before the big race, the grand finale. You just gotta cross the finish line first. You can do short hops across it. You'll win either way regardless. There is RNG dependent on how many platforms are spawned in. There could be more or less, so you gotta be ready for that. There's also a cool task strat involving the bricks, and I'll show that off on the second run through. I don't necessarily recommend it. It doesn't save that much time, and it's kind of dependent on if there's bricks directly in front of you. But I like to show off what it looks like regularly. You just kind of want to jump across here. You can go for some short hops if you want to, play a little risky. But honestly, you see how much you're already ahead of everybody. Game ends once you land. Just like that, it's pretty straightforward. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you what the task strat sort of looks like, and it involves those bricks that we saw. Basically, how it works is if you have a short pyramid of bricks in front of you, if you hold down like a max jump at the edge and land on it, it'll push you forward, and then you have to do a quick hop before you fall off. It's very hard to time. If you have a very long pyramid, you do a short hop onto it, and then I think it's a big jump and then short jump afterwards. I'll have to see when I do it here. But this is kind of what it looks like. I only do it if there's things directly in front of me and if I'm on not a great pace run. So short hop, short hop, short hop. Short, long, short. Like that. See? Uh-oh. As you can see, don't recommend. As you can see, I lost. But that's a cool thing to mess around with. It could, if you practice it very much, you can maybe use that to push yourself a little bit further. A lot of people don't actually use this. Again, I use it when it runs like dead just to see. But that's just a fun little task strat if you want to try it out. Congratulations, you made it to the end. This is the final minigame of both any percent and 100%. Obviously, we haven't covered the World 5. I will do that after this. But this has some good tech to it as well. You just want to mash through this. It's another slot car derby, and if you're rolling your eyes like, oh god, I can't do this. Guess what? You can. This one's much easier. So, fun fact, the only section you have to pay attention to is the bottom half of the track, okay? That is the only area you can spin out on when it's doing the little curvy thing. That is the only section you can spin out on. Aside from that, even if you start tilting a bunch, you can hold max speed and you're good, okay? And it looks like this timing is going to be when you cross the lap, the final lap here. So that bottom section, obviously you're going to time it.
Ready, go!
And then here you want to be careful. Start spinning out a little bit, slow it down. Max speed here. Max speed. All the time. Doesn't matter. See how I'm spinning out? Nope. All right, slow it down. Max speed. Don't let go. Constant max speed. Slow it down a little bit for this section. Max speed. Keep it going, keep it going. Slow it down just a little. Max speed. And that should get you the win. Time on that one. And congratulations, you just finished an any percent run of, or maybe 100%, we haven't covered it yet, but of Mario Party Minigame Island. I really hope that this tutorial has helped you for any percent on the guide. If you have questions or clarifications, or maybe there's a good chance that I screwed up some of this stuff, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to either correct it in an edit or something like that. We're gonna go over World 5 here in just a second, but again, if you took the time to watch this whole thing just to learn a little bit and get you into Mario Party, it is such a fun run. It's so easy to get into, and then it's a very fun grind for a good time. So highly recommend anybody get it. Just play it. No matter what it's on, just play it, have fun with it. The community is super friendly, super nice. I'll have a link to their Discord for the Mario Party Discord in the description down below. And if this video helped you, make sure to give it a like. Now you might be asking yourself, well, Bird, I want to run any percent with World 5. Or Bird, I want to run 100%. First off, why? Second off, I'll do my best to guide you through this. World 5 sucks, though. I'm going to warn you. There's not a lot of good here. It's a lot of RNG. But if you really want to learn this, here we go. World 5-1 is Castaways. Now, Castaways is... obviously, it's RNG on what comes out, but you'll definitely have enough to get 30 coins. There are visual cues you want to get accustomed to, okay? Depending on where you are. I always go for the back line because it's the easiest to throw all the way back there. Now, if you watch where the back row is, if you look at the chest, that is not correct. I believe you want to throw it at the right past the palm tree. So, for example, I'll go ahead and throw it here. So when the item goes right past the palm tree from this side is where you want to go ahead and launch your fishing pole. Now, you can take the front row if you want. You can take the middle row. I just prefer to throw into the back row because it's just the easiest to launch right away from there. So we'll need 2 more chests here. Ideally, they come out now. After I'm done screwing around. Now, if you're in a different position, obviously you're looking for a different visual cue. The first throw I did was for the player to the left of me. It's at the tip of the island. And then the player on the, in DK's spot, you want to throw kind of where in a certain spot of the clouds there, where it's kind of curved out more. It's hard to explain. Once you just test it for a little bit, just in different positions, you'll know good visual cues. But right in front of the palm tree for the rightmost, and right at the tip of the island for the second from the right. Third from the right should be more in the clouds, and fourth from the right should be just past the clouds. Aim for just 1 row. If you want to do the front row, go for it. I just prefer the back row. World 5-2 is all RNG. Just play the game normally and hope that they all get knocked out. There's nothing else to it. You just play the game. Now, it is possible for them to all get knocked out on, like, the 3rd or 4th one. But it's... Again, this is why World 5 sucks. Because it's just an RNG fest, and there's nothing you can do to optimize this. You just gotta hope. As you can see, they're holding their own currently. There's our first cut. Highly do not recommend this because this is already incredibly slow if you're trying to do this in an any percent run. Just a warning. Wow. Wow. This is wild. There we go. So, as you can see, that would have been a huge time loss to any percents 3 and 4 already. Because they didn't all fall off in the, like, first few. So, only thing you can do there is play the game. Now, here's my theory about bumper balls. And I'm unsure if how 100% true this is, but it definitely seems like there is a computer. To me, it seems like there's a computer on easy, on normal, and on hard. If you get stuck with a computer that is the toughest one, it's going to be a stalemate, and you're just going to lose for the most part, because they're just going to keep bonking against you. Most of the time, it seems like it's the character directly across from you that is the easier one, that you kind of don't want to go for. There's always going to be like one computer player that is easy to knock out, one that is somewhat difficult, and then one that seems impossible. And again, I keep the one directly across from me, but this one, bumper balls, is the bane of any 100% runner's existence. Well, there goes Wario. Okay, so once you get into the stalemate position, you want to try to bait them towards the edge like that. If they come in towards you, that's a bummer. But if they start turning like that, then you can gain some ground. So hopefully you get the computer that is easier to knock out. I think Wario was the easiest one there. Peach was the normal, and DK was the hard. So you just gotta hope that you get stuck with 2 out of the 3 there, and not with the hard one. Otherwise, it's a stalemate. But this is the risk you take with World 5. Now, World 5-4 is Treasure Divers. You got to get 10 more coins. I would recommend going for the big chests. Those are the slowest. The computers really suck at getting them. So if a computer gets it, it's a bit of a bummer because they're just not going to bring it up. You just want to kind of go down and up as fast as possible. They'll also guarantee that you get the clear condition for the game. And then afterwards, once you get to this point where you've gotten the 2 bottom ones, you just want to go for any chest at this point. Obviously, it's okay if I get bonked there because we're waiting on the others to finish. I'm going to also push up DK if possible. Looks like he's not wanting to. But this is, again, also RNG. Wario has it. Okay. This is the fun of World 5. There we go. So that's RNG. That was rough. But as long as you get those 2 big chests at the bottom, you should be fine, at least clear-wise. Now, the next minigame on the list is Bombs Away. This one's a straightforward one. You can try to knock them off early, like push them off. It's very risky to do so, because if the other 3 fall off before the timer ends, you actually save time. It's very rare for that to happen, though. I would just recommend... Oh, there's already 1. I would just... Oh, there's 2. So at this point, you can try, but it's very difficult to get them knocked off. I would just honestly go for beating the minigame, because it is just kind of weird and wonky. Otherwise, you can try to run into them like that. You risk them jumping on your head, which means you can't jump anymore. You can try to jump on their head. Final few seconds, they don't fire any cannon shots. But it's basically an auto-scroller for the most part, that one, unless you can knock them off early, which will help your case for saving time through World 5. Now, World 5-6 is Deep Sea Divers. This one here, you need to get 15 coins or more. You need the big chest at the bottom. So right away, you're going to dive straight for the big chest. And then it's RNG dependent on, for your time save, on where the computer goes. Ideally, you mash straight down here and get this big chest at the very bottom. And then bring it back up. Ideally, the computer player is going to go ahead and get that center chest there, come back up, and then at that point, you're hoping that they go to the right side and you get the left side. If they start going towards your side on the left, grab the chest that they're aiming at. Luckily, he went to his side here, but and then you just go ahead and grab that chest there and then go for whatever one he's going to go for. If he's coming across, he's not coming across. This is great RNG here, luckily. You go for that top one there, and then you go back down here. Now, if he's starting to come towards your side, you want to grab the chest that he's going for, because whatever chest he ends up going for, if you grab it, then he'll auto-target a new chest, and you got to hope that it's for the side he's on, basically. So go for the big chest, hope he gets that center chest, and then goes to his side. If so, it's really good RNG, congratulations. If not, good luck. All right, so mushroom mix-up. You want to utilize your ground pounds for this one to make it go by faster. You can go just for survival if you want, but it's much slower. Basically, you want to see a color show, and then you want to ground pound, and then puppy guard the edge. So like that, you get Peach. Now, on the first one, it's a little tough, but you can still play good defense like that. That's good defense, good defense, good defense. Now, sometimes they'll fall on top of each other. If they fall on top of each other, then you can't actually ground pound like that. So that's a little unfortunate there. But, ideally... Oh. So that would have been great timing, but... Alas, it was the middle one, so unfortunate there. So we're going to do the ground pound again. And there goes Wario. And then we're going to do the same thing here for Yoshi. And I missed the ground pound there, unfortunately. But it's a very difficult thing to do. There you go. And there's the ending there. You can obviously do it much earlier than that. But just practice. Try to get it in within the first 4 colors, I would say. And then you can't be too upset about that. The final minigame is Tightrope Treachery. It is going to connect you from World 5 to World 6 via 1, 2, 5, 6. Skipping 3 and 4. Unless you're doing 100%, which 100% you would do World 1, 2, 5, and then 3, 4. So you go 1, 2, 5 because 5 is one of the worst. And then if your run continues, you come back down through 5 and then do World 3, World 4. Tightrope Treachery. You want to just cross the finish line. There is some tech to this about getting hit and not falling down.
Start.
So ideally, you're just holding straight forward. And they can hit themselves with it, which knocks them out for a while. But you're holding straight forward. If you notice I'm going back like that, I believe if you go back like that, if you're turning... Oh, we'll see if we can get hit. We haven't gotten hit yet. But you see how I didn't fall over there? It's because I flicked back like that. If you can flick back with the right timing, that was a little bit off there. But if you flick back with that timing, then you won't fall over. I also think it has something to do with like being on the edge already. And it just kind of cancels out the animation. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it more than just the one time there. But it takes some practice. I think it has to do with you being on the edge as well as like flicking back to face towards you. But if you can do that, then you skip that damage animation. You just keep walking straight. So that's something to practice. But you see now the bridge is connected and you can go straight into World 6. So World 5 is really, really tough. It's not worth it in 90%. You can route it in if you want to. I would not recommend it. But for 100% runs, that is World 5. It's not the best time, but it is a time. So if you made it this far, I hope this inspired you to pick up a controller and go play Mario Party and learn the speed run. I appreciate you watching the whole thing. If there's anything else you need from me, Mario Party related, just let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if this helped you down below. All that good stuff. I just love seeing people pick up the game. So if you have any more questions, also feel free to throw them in the comments down below. And if this did help you, make sure to give a like. And I just thank you for giving me some of your time to teach you about a really fun speed game. Really easy to pick up. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you all in the next video. Check out some other videos I've done. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye. Mwah.